The Tombs of Atuan is the second of Le Guin's Earthsea novels, the middle of the original trilogy. The book she didn't intend to write. She originally considered The Wizard of Earthsea a standalone, but here she is. It is also her first novel with a female protagonist. Yes. In between A Wizard of Earthsea and The Tombs of Atuan, she wrote a science fiction novel, the classic The Left Hand of Darkness, which is well known as a classic of feminist science fiction, though it also is a product of its era. Only then does she manage to come back to Earthsea and write a story from a female point of view. Tanar's story, in many ways, is a mirror or an image, a kind of negative image, uh, or a shadow of Ged's. Conditioned both by her gender and by her separate culture, these are the scary white barbarians who we originally met raiding Ged's native village back in Gaunt before he even knew his name was Ged. If part of Ged's rise to adulthood is being given his name by Ogan, Tanar's is taken away. She's given power, social power, but she isn't in control of that power. She's given this high status, but in a way that is about, she's called the nameless one, the eaten one, emptied out, giving away her authentic self, which she needs to get back. If Ged's journey in the first book was to name his own shadow and get back the full meaning of his name, Tanar gets her name back too, and that happens with the image of the kind of broken ring of Erethac, an idea. Le Guin loves the idea of things that have been sundered being properly rejoined into their original unity, going together. Tanar and Gad are not a romantic couple in this novel. They have a deeper relationship than that. They are closer than that. Um, they're not running off to get married. They're not running off to do romance tropes or play kissy face. They're running off to know each other in through a journey through a desert reminiscent of the western desert that Le Guin loved, and the sea, which Le Guin evidently loves. What else do we see? We see that in Earthsea, at least in the original trilogy, there are no higher powers in Earthsea. There are lower powers, and they are very real. The nameless ones are real. Even if the even if Tanar's culture has moved beyond their original religion to kind of later gods who kind of eclipsed the worship of the nameless ones, and then to the priest kings and the god king who doesn't need to deal with any women in temples, underground temples in the desert. The joke is that the God King is only socially a god, and the nameless ones who only get lip service now are extremely real. This is also a novel like the first novel, this is a novel of coming to selfhood, of regaining one's own identity and bringing back, reclaiming what one has given away or allowed to be cast away. It is also a, it is also a novel of moral complexity. Tanar's done bad things, and she does other bad things in the larger act of freeing herself. Manan, who loves her, has to die. The death of Manan is who's as close to a parent as Tanar has had in her whole life, is is uh is is deeply problematic. But this is the way forward. This is not a simplistic right and wrong, and Le Guin is not interested in a fantasy world that that offers the fantasy of never having to make a hard moral choice, or never having the option of not doing exactly the right thing. She traffics in fantasies about magic, about the world around us, not fantasies about morals, and not fantasies about the human heart. I would also point out, for the record, notice that first chapter where we start in Tanara's mother's perspective. Finally, we've got a mother who's going to lose this child. And if Ged has never been much valued before he begins his journey to become a wizard, Tanar's the opposite. She is a deeply cherished child who is taken away by the priestesses to become the Eaten One.